Hey, what's going on, everybody? So Miami wins 29-26 over Virginia in overtime. Certainly some positives with this game, but certainly some things that, for me, I'm a little bit concerned with in terms of how this relates to the final stretch, those final 4 games of the regular season, which I will get into. Some positives. Okay, first, Miami was down by 10 points in this one, and they overcame it and won. This is now the 3rd time this season that they've trailed by 10 points in a game and came back and won. And if you remember back against Texas A&M, that was one of my big takeaways after the game, where I felt like if they faced a deficit, they would have confidence and be able to pull through and move forward and get the win. Tyler Van Dyke talked about that again today, saying he doesn't think in the last couple years that they would have been able to do that. So those are positives, that they were able to get the results. So that's a good thing. Mark Fletcher, true freshman running back, steps up in a big way. A.J. Allen goes down with an injury, had that really impressive touchdown run, but he's dealing with a little bit of a hamstring injury. That's why you didn't see him late. But Mark Fletcher gets the call in overtime. And I think that obviously the 11-yard touchdown run to win the game was certainly very exciting. It left people with a positive feeling as they got the result in this one. But for me, I think that 9-yard run to open overtime was certainly very important, because it really gave Miami's offense some confidence after only allowing a field goal. And it really set the tone in my mind, because then again, they gave the ball to Fletcher on the second carry, 5 yards, and then that 11-yard touchdown run. So certainly it was a good thing to see Mark Fletcher back on the field after missing the last 3 games. And you saw today why there was so much excitement about Mark heading into this season, his freshman season. You know, he starts off with a really good performance in his debut against Miami, 76 yards and a touchdown. And then today, you know, the way he was able to run the ball in overtime, they trusted him. And I think he's in store for a good final month of the season, assuming he stays healthy from that minor stress fracture injury. And hopefully he can just continue to play well and finish strong. And maybe we're going to see a really big performance, maybe a 100-yard game out of him. Because if A.J. Allen is still dealing with the hamstring injury that he had today, maybe he's going to be given more opportunities, that is with Fletcher. So in addition to the team overcoming a deficit and getting a win, Mark Fletcher's performance, you got to be excited about Andy Borregales. Again, the kicker came up big, 3 big-time kicks over 45 yards, had a 50-yarder in there, the 48-yarder late in the game. So he's a guy that certainly converted on big-time field goals when they needed them, and we've seen that. We saw it last year against this same team in Virginia. So that was good to see. He certainly deserves a lot of credit. And Tyler Van Dyke said, we wouldn't have won the game without Andy. And then defensively, I thought defensively they did a pretty good job. Now, Virginia did have some runs. They did get into the red zone 5 times in this game. So that was a little disappointing, but they had the pick 6 from Cam Kitchens, who helped erase that mistake earlier in the game when he gave up that 64-yard catch on a missed tackle. Only led to a field goal, but certainly disappointing in that sense. The Kitchens comes with the pick 6 and gets that team really that positive momentum in the 3rd quarter. They take that 17-10 lead, so that was great. Big plays out of him, the 6 sacks by the defense. Ruben Bain, once again, very good, very disruptive. If you like that, again, he's another guy I think is going to have a really good, strong finish to this season. And then James Williams, he had 13 tackles, just playing free and moving around. So that was good. So overall, defensively, they held the team. They held Virginia down. Again, in overtime, they held them to a field goal, which is exactly what you want to do. Gives your offense an opportunity. So defensively, I thought Miami did a good job. Was it great? Was it perfect? No, but certainly a lot of positives still with the defense. Now that was the positives, and certainly I feel like there were some negatives in this game too. Miami total offense, 276 yards. And for me, it starts and ends with Tyler Van Dyke, 20 of 30, 163 yards, the 2 interceptions, no touchdown passes. And the interceptions are piling up for Tyler. It's now 7 in the last 30 games. And put that in perspective, he had 6 in the previous 16 games that he had played in. So the interceptions are not good. And I think Miami, I felt like this last week, but certainly you look at it like, okay, it was Clemson, a team Miami had struggled against. They were coming off a 2-game losing streak. But Virginia is a team Miami should handle. You know, 19-point favorites. A Virginia team that has really struggled this year, only with 2 wins coming into this one. They dropped to 2-6. So from a Miami perspective, if they're trying to elevate into being a top 4 team in the ACC, Miami's got to play better. And they definitely didn't do that tonight. And the disappointing part with Van Dyke, with those interceptions, now he said afterwards he's got to make better decisions and not force the ball. From the very first game of the season, I was concerned about some of the things I heard Shannon Dawson talk about with the offense because of the way the Redhawks played Miami, and certainly Miami got points and they won big. But what he was talking about with the passing defense was basically that Miami was going to make the Hurricanes keep everything in front of them and throw short passes and underneath, and it just essentially felt like it is what it is and that's what we have to do, that's how we have to play. And while I understand it, my mindset was, okay, well, wouldn't every other team try to do that as well? What happens when you face other teams that are going to face that defensive style, that defensive philosophy of not allowing deep throws and really just keep everything in front, kind of mixed coverages a lot, which what we saw tonight with Virginia, some mixing some fronts and some different looks. It can't just be that the offense goes into the tank and has a really unproductive day. When that happens, you're going to go to overtime, or where you could lose games. Miami could have very easily lost these last two games, trailing in games, and they came back and won, and going to overtime, anything can happen. But Miami does give credit for winning these games, but you don't want to live on the edge like that. And that's why I think it's very important to play much better heading into the final month of the season. I think what's most disappointing with the way that Tyler's playing right now is where he is at in his career. You know, this is his third year as a starting quarterback at Miami. He's actually in the back half of his, this fourth season overall, and he's playing like this, not playing well. And I understand, look, he did say he's dealing with the right knee injury, and we've seen his hand taped up at times, whatever that might be. Today, he was out there. And if you're going to put him out there, and it didn't look like that he absolutely was laboring like we've seen in the past with his injuries, you've got to play through it, and you've got to play well. If you're going to be out here, you've got to play better. And he just didn't. And I thought on both passes that were intercepted, I thought he could have made better decisions and better throws. Particularly, I thought the one to Restrepo down here in the corner, I thought that ball was underthrown, and maybe it was his back leg, the one that's bothering him, his right leg, that he couldn't get enough on it, but that needs to be downfield. And then the other one, 3rd and 10, and you're looking center, looking right, and you throw back left and throw an interception. So he's trying to force it. He understands that's why the mistakes were made, and he says he simply can't force it. I do believe Miami's got to play much better than they've shown in these last few weeks, and even Georgia Tech, with how they played in that game. It almost gets overlooked because of the way it ended with the not taking of the knee thing. But Miami's not been playing particularly well in these games, not complete performances. Certainly they could have lost all 3 of these games. And I think when you play on the road, in particular with these games down the stretch, you're seeing at NC State, at Florida State, you close it at Boston College, but also in there between Florida State and Boston College, you see that 3rd game, which is going to be Miami's final home game of the year against Louisville, who's having a really good season. So I think all 4 of these games are going to be up in the air. Miami's got to play well in order to win each one of them. For me, the way I'm looking at it, none of them are going to be gimmies. Miami's got to play much better, but we'll see how it all shakes out. I want to thank everybody for watching. Drop in the comments below. Are you just really excited because they got the result? 6-2, bowl eligible. They're 2-2 in the conference. Maybe they can crack into the top 4 if they can finish strong. Or are you really concerned about this team, and you're really concerned about what this might look like down the stretch in these final 4 games? Thanks again for watching. Hopefully the Dolphins do well here again tomorrow. We'll talk to you later. Thanks again, and take care.